Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester, and thank you for joining us for episode 140. Tonight, we'll be giving you our player and match analysis of Wolves' 1-1 draw against Brighton and Hove Albion. More late heartbreak. Unlucky, self-inflicted. I'm sure these boys are going to tell you. We'll also be looking ahead to the trip to Sunderland in a couple of weeks' time. And here we go. Knocky, Saturday afternoon, didn't have a game. Lots of build-up and excitement for Sunday. Wolves 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
I'm not sure excitement's the right word. I thought we played well. I thought it was, especially in the first half, I thought it was a really good performance. We kept what is a very good Brighton team limited to very few opportunities. I thought that we had a good solid shape. We looked organised. We scored a really good goal. I know it goes down as an own goal, but it's a really good strike by Managerial. The shape worked. It was working really well. We looked like we could potentially add a second goal. They weren't 100% at it, which is probably what you need when you play that Brighton side, because they are very good. Without Mitoma, they were, not quite as dangerous. But obviously got Minte the other side. But I thought that Jackson dealt with him really well. And we looked relatively good, relatively solid. The good movements, solid in midfield. Defensively, we looked pretty sound again. Up front, we weren't too much of a threat, but we were creating opportunities, albeit half chances. And then for some reason, and I've no idea why, 60 minutes he changes it all around, puts us three at the back, invites pressure, asks them to come and keep attacking us, which they do. And we give a really unnecessary corner away in the last 10 minutes, and bang, it's 1-1 and 2 points are out the window. So I didn't understand substitutions. I thought they were wrong because I don't think we were under a massive amount of pressure. I could have understood it if we were getting peppered and we're getting pegged back and, it's backs to the walls. But I felt we were relatively comfortable. They created maybe one really good chance where Johnson's made one of the best saves I think I've ever seen live. But other than that, there was half chances, long-range efforts, nothing to really worry us too much. But as soon as he dropped 2 or 3 at the back, we just started inviting pressure then, and we just had to ask them to keep coming, which they did, and obviously eventually we folded. So for me, that one's on Vitor almost in its entirety, and I know we'll talk about the goal and how that could have been avoided, but I think those decisions when you're inviting a team like Brighton to come at you and play and attack you, you're asking for trouble, and that was 2 points drop that absolutely didn't need to happen. So for me, that's completely Vitor's fault.
Yeah, lots. I can see you're nodding away there, Tyler. I don't think any of us are going to disagree with that, but any disagreements at all with Knocky on that? I mean, is it? I mean, I think I'm very much. I know you're in this anyway. It's very much 2 points dropped and not a point gained from that game.
I think Knocky's summarised it very well. I've got absolutely no idea why after an hour, when, like Mark said, fairly comfortable, I thought, really, and still posing a threat with Strand Larsen and Arias' chance looking half decent. For me, it was a surrender from Pereira, if I'm honest, and that might sound a bit harsh, but that's exactly how I see it. And I think I've seen a few fans say that the manager's almost let his players down, and I sort of see where they're coming from, and I agree with it, really, because you've just got to go like for like. I mean, going that deep is basically giving Brighton total free rein to control that game for the last half an hour. They didn't have to leave anyone back on the halfway line. They could play in our half. And like Mark says, that brings a nervousness and an anxious players around the ground. It was, very quiet, wasn't it, the last sort of 10 minutes up until they scored. And I'm with Mark, just totally self-inflicted. Some people will say the same about the Spurs game, that some of the subs at the end, but you can almost understand it when you're in stoppage time. You sort of get it, bring on your big centre-half just to try and head and kick it. But after an hour, I thought that was disgusting from Pereira, if I'm honest. And again, that might sound strong, but as I said, I think it was a total surrender of what would have been a brilliant 3 points against a good side.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Brighton they're mobile, they're fast, they're strong, they've got a pattern, they're an excellently run football club. They're pretty much everything that Wolves aren't, but somehow we'd used our 4-3-3 to be dogged. I mean, again, our midfield isn't particularly pretty, but we've seen in these last few games, starting with Everton, we're just horrible to play against. We're using Minetti to his best. We've got Andre in his best position in front of a back two. Joe Gomez can defend and he can get forward a little bit. So we're using probably now our best three midfielders doing what they do best, and it's hard to play against us. Teams aren't just walking through us. So I get that. And to a point, I'd expect them to have more possession in the second half. I'd expect us to tuck in a little bit. But to be sat back and to tuck in on the edge of your own box with half an hour to go, I mean, like I said, I haven't really criticised Vitor, but I do think this one is on him. Saying that, if Chachwar and one other doesn't switch off for the corner, we win 1-0. He's got it right, hasn't he? We're one mistake away from, because like Nocky said, they weren't peppering us. There was one brilliant Johnson save, but this wasn't wave after wave. It was territorial domination, but it wasn't a pumping. It wasn't crossbar post off the line scramble. It was a dig in. You're not going to get past. And from it only cost Wolves a sloppy set play has cost Wolves. Otherwise, he probably gets away with it, and it's good calls. But Nocky, you have to question the tactics. I didn't understand Strand Larsen coming off not for Tolo. That didn't make any sense, because if you're under pressure, you either need someone lightning in behind that can run the channels, or another big man that can cause a few problems. Now, for me, Tolo, he's not the same kind of player, but he's a like for like, and he'll win his flick-ons. He's big. He'll hold it up. He can, you know what I mean? He'll buy you a foul. He can do a bit. I just didn't understand bringing on Bellegarde to play in a 10 and put Arias up top against two of the probably biggest centre-backs the Premier League's ever seen. And then you're humping the ball to nowhere. Arias is good, but when someone is literally a foot and a half bigger than him, he has got no chance when them balls are coming his way.
I think he only needed to make two changes. I'd have took Hwang off, and then it's Rodrigo Gomez or Fer Lopez. Probably Rodrigo on that side, because he can also do some work defensively. And then it's Tolo for Strand Larsen. For me, that's the only two substitutions that he actually needed to make. I think the frustration for me is you set that team up. They've got you a goal. They're unbeaten in a couple of games coming into this. Back them. Back your players to go and get that second goal and kill the game off, or to see the game out. What message are you sending to your players when you don't trust them with half an hour left to see the game out? I want to see my manager backing his players and saying, right, I'll trust you, lads. Go and win me the football match. Because we were not under severe pressure. They weren't ripping through us. They weren't tearing chunks out of us. They doubled up on Hugo, which had created a little bit of space on that side. But you don't need to switch your whole formation to deal with that. You can just manage him from a midfield area, or pull one of your defenders slightly across when you're in the attacking, and then drop a Hwang or a Rodrigo back to support it. You don't need to rip up the whole script and go again. So I don't understand it. The formation we were in, we were able to press them, and we were able to force a few defensive errors. We were rushing them as well, because they're a team that really like the ball. They like the ball at their feet. They like to find spaces. They like pretty patterns, triangles, and they like to try and bring you out and get in behind you. The formation we were playing, we weren't giving them a lot of time on the ball. And I'm pretty critical of Hwang most of the time, but one thing he did do was run, and he closed down the players. And same with Manezio, I thought had a pretty decent game. We were closing down the space, and you're not letting their quality players play. You're not giving them time on the ball. And Minte was shut down pace-wise by Jackson, because he's quicker. So it was effective. It really worked. So to make that change and to bring on Agbadu, who, the best Willie in the world, he's not at it at all at the moment. We went from having a nice, calm back line who looked like they were in control of themselves and in control of what they were doing, to bringing on a player in Agbadu who's gone to pieces. First thing Agbadu does is try an unnecessary crossfield ball, give the ball away, and bang, they break, and they're 3-on-3. So you don't need to make those kind of changes. It just made absolutely no sense to me. I want to see him back his team to go and win you the football match. So I think, long story short, 2 substitutions was all he needed to make, and he completely got it wrong, completely failed.
You could understand, Tyler, as the game goes on, like we did at Spurs. I mean, I think it was more bad luck at Spurs than anything else. I think Wolves were the better side second half, and I think they're unfortunate. They get one half chance. It's a fantastic finish. We went into that last week, but to be so cautious for so long and invite on a team of that quality, you only have to switch off once, which we did, and they scored. This is the Premier League. If you switch off from that position, it's going to end up in a goal conceded, and that's what happened. But the annoying thing for me, Tyler, and this has been mentioned a few times, it's not like Wolves were getting pumped with no return fire. Wolves were creating chances. Arias could have made it 2-0. Strand Larsen's dropped some kind of half lollipop in, and he's gone past Dunk, and he's hit the post. Wolves were creating chances. You carry on that, Brighton get desperate, you probably get a second, and the momentum's going then. You're not just sort of sticking out at a base camp and waiting for the snow. You're going to go and climb to the top of the mountain, and we didn't.
Got yourself an encyclopedia there, son, or what?
I honestly don't know what happened then. It just all came out.
I don't think I'll articulate as well as Nocky did, because he's absolutely hit the nail on the head there. And the other thing I wanted to add is, and I might be wrong, but am I right in saying that while we've been 4 at the back with Santi and Krejci, we've not conceded a goal? So they've seen the game out versus Everton 2-0. They've been absolutely fine at Spurs, and the late substitutions caused chaos, and they were absolutely sound as a pound. I thought they were brilliant on Saturday up until that substitution. Like Mark says, why aren't you backing them? We've potentially stumbled across a centre-half partnership that we've been crying out for seasons. It's like he's desperate to get Agbadou on the pitch. He's desperate to get him in the side. And we've talked about this in the past with him, with other players, hasn't he? And I'm with Mark. I just can't for the life of me. I don't understand it. Solid as a rock. The two there with Andre in front of them. I thought Jackson and Hugo. I mean, Hugo taking him off for Wolf again. Absolutely no reason.
He was having a great game.
Unless there's an injury, which we've not heard, he was absolutely superb on that left side, offensively, defending. Where the Brighton were poor, we made them look quite poor because of how we contained them. That's up for debate, but I will not for the life of me understand why that's been made. And the atmosphere was gone after that substitution, wasn't it? The Molyneux just went, we're actually holding on for half an hour. Is this what we've come to now? And I talked about it a few weeks ago. That bouncy, bubbly, positive Vita Pereira is not in the building anymore. And it's been replaced with a negative, defensive-minded coach. And for me, it sounds harsh. That's why there's big questions mark around him now for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Knocker. We can sympathise. We felt the heartbreak at Spurs. But it was 2 points dropped, but it's a game we all expected to lose. But after the Everton game, we had a bit of heart. But we've seen that this team now, as Tyler just said, that are capable of holding their own. Teams are no longer walking through walls. And like Tyler alluded to then, Brighton didn't play a lot of football because we didn't let them. Everton brought all their big guns in the second half. They didn't play a lot of football because we didn't let them. Spurs, granted, European champions of such in that trophy, didn't play a lot of football because we didn't let them. Wolves have found a formula, but as Tyler said, we're not trusting them to see it out when that's a real kick in the teeth, because you know what, they might have equalised if they put the pressure on, but if you turn the tap off your attacking intent, it's the Premier League, and usually it only ends one way.
Yeah, it's just frustrating more than anything else. I mean, if you're going to bring on a third centre half and you're doing it 80 minutes, 85 minutes, you kind of understand that because you're just trying to see out the remainder of the game. But I didn't feel under severe pressure. I didn't feel like it was coming. You know when a goal's coming.
One great save, and that was it.
Yeah, and the whole ground was flat. I mean, Molyneux was flat from the start, to be fair. It was a terrible atmosphere. But there was a little bit going because you've got a bit of belief and you feel like your team can win this game because you're absolutely in it. And as good as they were, we just controlled them really well. The game plan worked perfectly. So there's no logical reason to make that decision and try and hold on for 30 minutes. It's just daft. And what's really frustrating is we were well in the game. I thought we had an element of control in the game. We dropped to a 3 at the back. Then we couldn't get out our own half and we resorted to lumping it. They scored. We then seemed to revert back to a 4, and for injury time, we had them on the back foot and we had them in there pending their own penalty area. So you didn't need to make that change. And as much as he did a brilliant job last season, for me, and I know you're saying Spurs wasn't his fault, I think we went too deep against Spurs as well. I think he's given away 4 points out the last 2 games, and we could be sat on 6 points out the relegation zone with winnable games to come. But directly because of those decisions that he's made, for me, we've dropped 4 points, and it's unnecessary and it didn't need to happen. He's found this formula that works. He's found 2 centre-halves that work really well together. And then you go and whack on Agbadou, who's completely out of it. It wouldn't have been so bad if he'd have bought on one of the others who are maybe a little bit calmer in possession at the moment, which I never thought I'd say with Totti and Mosquera. But to put the one centre-half on who's been your worst and your weakest centre-half, who's given a goal away in almost every game he's played, to go and see out a game when you know they're going to be under pressure, it makes no sense to me at all. I'll never understand that decision.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one. And they're the moves of a man that may not be saying the words, but that's showing his pressure and how desperate and frightened he is of losing. And I tweeted after the game, when the will not to lose is stronger than the desire to win, it reflects on the team, and that's what happened in the end. Again, there's more from my encyclopedia I've used up this week and my free encyclopedia, Tyler. So I'm pretty much done now. You guys need to take over 50 minutes.
What's going on?
But if we'd have stuck with a 4 and conceded, I don't think we'd be half as angry because we'd have understood what he was doing. And if you get caught out, because they're a team that can play through you, they can find space. And the goal itself,
they're just full of footballers. All their players are one-touch monsters, and they can get through. And if you go toe-to-toe properly with them, you're going to get really hurt. But we've made ourselves difficult to play against. And look, Manetti has been criticised heavily, and probably so. He's played out of position. He's not been great, but he's found a position he excels. He can get back, he can head, he can stop. And when we break it, he's got the engine as well. This is his perfect position. This is why we signed him, not to play up front, to play now. And you play your best players at what they're best at in their positions. And in a team that isn't the most flair or sexy anymore, a midfield of Andre, Gomez and Manetti is horrible. Imagine having to play against that. Trust them to hold on to the lead, because they're going to protect the back four. And that's going to allow a Rodrigo, a Lopez, Arias, whoever, to keep hurting the opponents like they did. And I mean, Wolves could have been 2 or 3 nil up. They weren't, and we were punished one mistake. But
quick question: Do you reckon this tinkering with the formation? Do you think he's confused?
I think he's confused.
I mean, has it caused him a problem in a way that?
Yeah, I think it's caused him a massive problem in the squad. Jose Mosquera signed a 5-year deal before. His season on loan at, I think, was it Valencia was on loan at? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. His season on loan, he was fantastic there. He came back, had a couple of good games, got his cruciate done against Villa. The club has spoke about him. 5-year deal, bang. There was talk of pre-season about Agbadou potentially being captain. All of a sudden, he's not in the team. So he's bought a squad of players. He's bought 2 number 10s. Yeah, he's bought 4 centre-backs. He's got all them centre-backs. You've got 2 number 10s, as in Fer Lopez and Arias, that aren't going to play now. So now there's a squad of players that are like, well, this isn't what I signed up for. But on the other side of that, Tyler, they're professional footballers and you're in there to win. And regardless of if you play or not, you're going to get your salary. We'll work harder, play better and get in the team, because there are a lot of those players that haven't played well, and particularly pretty much the whole defence. Yerson looked a bit up and down. I don't think Toti's had a good game particularly well this year. He's been okay and then looks nervous, and Agbadou doesn't look like Agbadou of last season anywhere near it. So I genuinely don't think he expected the Krejci and the Bueno partnership to do so well. I think after a clean sheet against Everton, he was like, well, I kind of got to play this the next game now. I don't think that was the plan. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. There's no way I thought that was ever in the script. And all of a sudden, he's done that, and then you've played a Brazilian international to sit what he does best and make that triangle to collect with his back to the opponents and play out. And all of a sudden, we look like we're capable of playing out of defence because he's there. The shadow of you pouring that wine in the background is absolutely sensational, by the way. I mean, it's like, I know you're a Giants fan. Look, it's the biggest bottle of wine in the world.
I haven't stopped drinking since 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. But my point on the formation as well is I think there's ourselves, Crystal Palace and Man U that play that 3-4-3. Palace are unbelievable at it. Man U are garbage at it, and we're sort of somewhere in the middle, aren't we? So again, if you stumbled across that formation, then surely you just find a way of making it work. You just have to.
But it is working though, isn't it? It is.
I thought they were outstanding. I didn't think they were good. I thought they were outstanding as a 2 on Sunday. I thought they were brilliant.
Look at the opponents as well. We're talking about top seasoned Premier League players that do damage to anybody, and they've been dealt with. I mean,
but what's the rush? Why can't he wait to get Agbadou on? He couldn't wait to get him on.
I think, as I said then, it's more the fear of losing has taken over the will to win. He's terrified. Instead of going to kill the game off and trusting the players on there, there's more concern about trusting them than there is in believing them, and that's a problem. To a degree, I get it. He's under pressure. But I can only see it that way. I don't think it's a desperation to get Agbadou on. I think it's him being terrified of not winning that game again from being 1-0 up.
Well, it's going to cost him his job then, isn't it? Because it's like Chris says, if you've stumbled on a formation, you need to get it right. We've got it right. The formation's worked. I mean, that's a Brighton side that went to Chelsea and scored 3 goals and beat them comfortably. we had them managed, we had them marshalled, we had them controlled.
And we were hurting them.
We didn't need to make that substitution. As soon as we dropped to a 3 at the back and for some reason whacked Arias up front, that was never going to work. You're automatically putting yourself in a position where you're inviting pressure and you've lost your ability to press because you're sitting so deep. And we were going deeper and deeper. And if you bring a Tolo on straight away for Strand Larsen, I think that would have been a good substitution because for me, he's stronger, he wins more, he's more physical.
And Dunkel's on a booking, and in a race, there's only one winner there.
Yeah, so you want him to come on and hold the ball up and take you up the pitch a little bit. So to put Arias there and then to drop everybody else back 5 or 10 yards and invite the pressure from a team that love the football and love it at their feet when you've made it so uncomfortable for the first 60 minutes for them because you've been pressing them and you've been squeezing them and you've been threatening him behind. And there was a couple of times we got behind them. Huang got behind and put in a poor ball across the face of goal, but we were finding those spaces and those little pockets and Arias was just drifting around and picking the ball up and just tiptoeing into difficult areas and they were struggling to manage us. But as soon as you go to a 3 at the back, everyone drops, you're inviting pressure and you've lost your impetus. So it's...
You're a 5 then. They're almost not wing backs, aren't they?
You didn't need to do it.
And then, yeah.
And to bring Wolf on for Hugo as well makes no sense because Hugo's your out ball. Hugo's the one who's got the pace to drop over the top and get you in behind. And he was having a really good game for me. So if you're going to take Hugo off, it should have been Rodders who came on, not Wolf, because Wolf just didn't do it. He didn't offer anything. He kept running the ball out of play. So just completely, the substitutes were in tatters. It was an absolutely dreadful managerial performance. Even the fact he managed to get himself sent off in such a big game as well, in such a stupid way. And I know that it kind of galvanised the fans in a strange way. That's really unprofessional as a manager to go and do that. And that could, that costs you as well because you've lost that information from the bench. And I know he's got radios and all that sort of stuff, but you want your manager on the bench supporting the team. So I just think he had an absolute shocker. It was a disastrous managerial performance.
Yeah, I mean, I've been unwilling to criticise because of his success last season, but and again, I was a bit forgiving at Spurs because I do think it was more bad luck than bad judgment. But this one, he's totally on the manager.
Spurs wasn't bad luck. Why Spurs bad luck?
Because I think Wolves deserved to win, mate. They've had one half opportunity.
Why did we deserve the win?
Because we were the second half. Wolves were the better side, clearly.
We scored a lucky goal and we conceded one.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said last week, I can kind of forgive. This week, I'm not. He needs to be called out on it. I think the tactics.
But we were lucky on Sunday with our goal. It was a lucky goal that we scored. You sort of make your own luck and you create it, don't you? And the decisions he's making at the moment, you could argue Jackson putting it out was bad luck, but it's because of the situation that we're in and how tense and nervous it is at the time. And every little thing he does, unfortunately, now is going to be scrutinised massively.
Yeah, and I think he has to proper take ownership of this one. And again, like you said, if the players are switched on for that corner, they probably don't score, we might go on to win. But you don't need to invite that pressure and that self-inflicted crazy substitutions. I don't get it. An unnecessary tweak, like just finally on the tactics, whether it's genius or we've rolled the dice against Everton and it's just worked really well. We found a formation. We found 2 centre-backs. We're getting the best, probably for me, of one of our best players in Andre. You're getting the best out of a player with a great engine in Manetzi, and you're getting the best out of someone that can do a bit of everything in terms of João Gomez. So let's stick with it. Let's trust the players. Now, further up the pitch might be a different story because, again, I don't know how Huang starts. I mean, he did get a few players booked and he did run into space. But when it got to the business end, I don't recall a proper opportunity or him making a good decision at that point. Granted, was he more involved? Yes, he was. Was he better than Spurs? Well, it was hard not to be worse. But he was getting into those positions. But the final ball was absolutely nothing short of shambolic. I know people are talking about Rodrigo. Again, what must for Lopez and Rodrigo? But I want to go on to this point about Huang. And I think this isn't just on the manager. I think this is exposing what a dreadful window it's been. Because if you look at our forward line, it's probably one of the slowest across the Premier League. There isn't any genuine blazers up there. Every team's got 1 or 2 that can push and go, and there's nothing you can do about it. Wolves don't have that. And if your fastest forward is still Huang, and for that formation to work, the only player you've got to play in there really is Huang. Rodrigo's quick, but I don't think he's as quick as Huang. I don't understand how no one's called out, well, this is badly because Fer Lopez isn't quick. He's a beautiful footballer, but he's not particularly quick. And in that 4-3-3, if you've got the technician in the floating around the 10, the Arias, and the centre forward, you need somebody with pace up there to sort of complete the trio. And if we're only left with Hwang for that, what does it really say about the summer business?
Jeff said it was really good.
Of course he did.
It's just, well, we knew this, didn't we? I mean, we came on before the City game when we spoke about the window, and I said then I think it's the worst window we've ever had, and it's relative to where we are in the Premier League. It's the worst window we've ever had. We've replaced players with substandard replacements, and I think when you look at Wolf, who can't get a game, and when he does come on, he looks dreadful. Jackson has moments, and I thought he did relatively well, but he's probably our fifth or sixth choice, and for me, he's given away the equaliser because he shepherds it out of play when he doesn't need to, and then he doesn't switch on and close down the cross. So for me, he's responsible for that. Arias is getting there, but he's not there yet. Tolu needs minutes, and he needs.
Nocky, doesn't he? Arias looks more suited now. He's got a big midfield behind him.
Yeah, he looks better because he's in his comfortable position, isn't he? But he's not there yet. He's going to need time.
Say again,
I'd have no issue playing against Arias if I was an opponent. Purely because of what you said, Ryan, it's all in front. There is no threat in behind. There's no pace. There's no one that can carry the ball like Kuna did. Arias is neat and tidy like Fair Lopez is, but I'm with you, Mark. I don't see them as match winners or game changers, and I think that's probably what will ultimately cost us this season.
The reality is, if you sell your best players and you don't replace them with anyone of the same quality or even close to the same quality, and you've already struggled the previous season, and you're not going to get any better, are you? You're inviting what's coming. So Arias, I think he's going to be an okay player for us. I think he'll be decent. Tolu, he needs minutes, but we don't seem to play him. So how's he going to build up his resilience and his match fitness if we're not playing him? And Strand Larsen, for me, looks unfit and not there. So there's no match winners. There's no flair. And there's a reason that we were the only team in the entire Football League without a win, because we haven't got the quality of players that we need. So it's not rocket science. The window was a disaster. And we are where we deserve to be. So we've got to deal with it, unfortunately.
This is episode with Mark Knock, Chris Tyler, and myself, Ryan Lester. It's glad to have Tyler back. He's bringing the best out of Knocky, that is for sure. Let's go on to the team performance, boys. Let's have a little look at this. Now, just go through this team quickly because we've got so many good questions. I want to get on as many as we possibly can. I'm going to start off with Sam Johnson, and he's been criticised on here, and he's been called all kinds of strange nicknames. But I got to say, boys, he looks a solid pair of hands. He's benefiting from having two comfortable footballers in front of him for me. He looks like he trusts the centre-backs. The centre-backs trust him. For me on Sunday, that was one of the best saves I'm not just saying that for podcasts. That was one of the best saves I've ever seen in front of my own eyes. The reaction to that was incredible. If he's playing like that, he deserves to be in the team for a long time to come. Moving on to the back four. Tyler, tell me about Jackson and Hugo Bueno.
I liked it. I've seen Jackson get some stick, but it sounds stupid. I thought apart from where he switched off and conceded the goal ultimately, I thought it was absolutely outstanding.
He did a great job, didn't he? Defensively. Some great tackles.
Brilliant pace. Didn't give Minter a kick all game. Was an outlet in the first half when we were trying to break. I like him. I liked him when he came on at Spurs as well. And for me, he's earned the right now to start at right back in that back four, no problem. And Hugo, does
he use his pace enough?
No,
I agree with you. I thought he managed Minte really, really well, and Minte is a very, very difficult player to manage. But Jackson seemed nervous to knock it past his man and try and hit the flanks a little bit, and I don't know why. Because for me, he's probably the fastest player in the league. So I don't know. Was he told to do that, or was that just the decision that he didn't want to commit? I don't know.
This is a really good point, Knocker. I think it looked to me like he was under instruction, because quite often when our fullbacks or wingbacks get wide, they like to start again, whether it's a ball back to Santiago or Krejci or João Gomez or Manetzi. I think they get to that position and start again and try and switch and go over, because the amount of times he got the ball, particularly in the first half, I just want him to push and go at that fullback. Just push it round him, get a ball across the face of goal, because clearly you've got the legs for it. I don't think that's a confidence issue. It looks to me like an instruction. because there was one of his first games, he was cutting back and crossing with his left foot. So for me, I think he's your instruction to do that. But I'm with you.
He's got something there, hasn't he?
Yeah, sure. If you've got Andre and Gomez and Manezzi in midfield, you can let Jackson go in a back four and let him go for it, because you've got plenty of guys to cover there. So I want to see more from him. You bang on Nocky. Defensively, Tyler, yeah, I agree, but I want to see more going forward. Nocky, tell me about...
I know we're going to move on, so I don't want to keep harping on about it, but why would you give him that instruction? Why would you take away what is a weapon, especially when you've got a player the size of Strand Larsen in the middle? So why would you give him that instruction? It just doesn't... I don't understand. I'm not saying you're wrong, because I think you're absolutely right, but I don't understand the logic behind the decision.
No, I don't either. I don't understand. But considering, I mean, if you look at the team on paper, in reality, compared to what we're used to, it's pretty bland, isn't it? It's not very exciting. So you'd think someone with a weapon of that with that much pace would be allowed to use it. So I agree, but it just feels like not a confidence. It just feels like an instruction. Like he doesn't want the fullbacks to give the ball away. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the visual I can see.
Sorry, and I'm no Pep Guardiola, but when you look at that full screenshot, you almost want Andre to sort of tuck back in with the centre halves, and you want Jackson and Hugo pushing forward.
100%.
There's no reason they can't be, and then you want them whipping balls in to Strand Larsen. And you're both right. It's something that we haven't done enough of this season, but when we've actually put balls in the box, again, we've sort of got output from it. So I think there's more to come from both of those fullbacks, but they're actually quite excite me. I quite like the look of both of them at the moment. I think they're doing a decent job.
Yeah, and as I mentioned again, when you've got such an industrious midfield that can cover so much ground, you can afford sometimes, to get them both going forward. If they, I mean, obviously they can't do it the whole game; it's unsustainable. But when you've got guys like that in a back four, let's see them go forward. Let's believe in them. So Nocky, tell me about our newfound partnership of Santiago Bueno and Ladislav Krejci, who are yet to concede a goal as a pair.
I thought they were both excellent. I mean, as critical as I've been in the transfer window, and when the kind of money that we were touting around for Krejci, I thought that seems like a bit of a Fabio Silva thing again, where we're going to lay a load of money and he's going to be awful. He's absolutely outstanding. He's so calm on the ball. He reads the game so well. He can play midfield, defence. He's got a genuine football brain, and he's clearly a leader on the pitch. You can see that by the way that
he's go with the brain as well.
Yeah, by the way that he's instructing and almost conducting that back line. I think he's excellent. I think he's really, really good. And next to Bueno, that partnership works. And Bueno, I'm really pleased for Bueno, because he's one of them players that never really lets you down, but he never stands out enough to make the shirt his own. He's always the one who you think's going to drop out. But I think in a two, he's been absolutely brilliant. He doesn't get caught out. If he does get beat, he snaps the player and gets the booking, which is absolutely right.
Clever yellow, isn't it?
Yeah. It's working really well together. And the goals we're conceding, yes, you can find individual errors on them, but there's not almost a multitude of sins that are leading up to it now. These two are making it very, very difficult for us to concede goals now. And I think Tyler touched on it. You've got the ability for Jackson or Hugo to push up. Andre drops back in. Bueno or Krejci can almost move out to the wide positions to cover their fullback. You've got so many options. It's such a fluid formation that you can use. And it just seems to work really well. So I think that whole back line, I thought they were excellent with the exception of the goal. And as we said, you've got Johnson behind him who they seem to trust as well. It's just working at the minute, so there's no need to change it. There's no need to change it mid-game either.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Providing everyone comes back fit from international duty, that back five, that has to be the start. There's no back five for me. That back five, including the goalkeeper, that has to be starting now. They've proven it. Like I said, they've not conceded a goal when they've been together. Let's not change it. Tyler, moving on to the midfield trio. Again, like I said, I've repeated it many times because it's a real positive. We found a trio that works, that suits us. It protects the back four, and that sort of back eight looked like a team. They all look like they know what they're doing together.
Yeah, they were fine, but now I think you touched upon at the start, sort of not flamboyant, are they? But they're fine and they're solid, and you know exactly what you're going to get from them. And I like Andre as the 6 and then those two as the 8. I think that's how you probably want to look at it moving forward. Andre, obviously we bottom the league with no wins, but Andre arguably in that position is one of the best in the league, I'd argue, at just doing what he does. I think we'd all like him to probably be able to do a little bit more, but in that formation, if that's his job, then just let him get on with it. Gomez is one, again, I think we could probably see a bit more on, if I'm honest. Like, he seems to be a bit within himself at the moment. I want to see more from him, potentially. But, not criticising at all. It was a solid performance. And Menezes is just that bit of chaos, isn't he? I mean, you can sort of talk about football tactics, formations till you're blue in the face. I sent a tweet round the other week about what other Premier League teams does he get in. And I don't think he gets in any, to be honest. But he just causes a bit of chaos for us. And it seems to be working at the moment. Basically, just let him have free reign, whether he wants to defend, attack, midfield, whatever, let him get on with it. And like Mark said, to be fair, the strike was outstanding. I think he scored against Brentford at home, an absolute worldie. And keepers are being lucky, to be fair, because he's made a worldie of a save from it. But great volley from him. And yeah, those three are there to stay, aren't they? You can't see anyone dislodging them, especially in that formation.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it later on, but I don't want that 8 there to change. I just don't think there's any need to change it. I mean, again, I'm impressed by the shadow. Anyone watching on, sort of listening back onto audio can see Tyler. It looks like there's a shadow of a bottle of wine that's bigger than it's absolutely, that's more like it. That's the screensaver. Nocky, moving on to an area that wasn't as productive, but still could have had more goals. Tell me about John Arias, Jürgen Strand-Larsen and Hwang Hee-chan.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about the 8 being the 8 we want. These three are the problem area for me. We've only got 1 goal between all 3 of them in the 7 games we've played, and I know that Larsen's not been fit. For me, Hwang just doesn't offer enough. He runs, he'll graft, but there's no quality on that side. There's no output from him. There's no final ball. He's just very much almost a little bit of a passenger. Arias is showing flashes, and I think there is a player there. We're playing him in his right position. He's very good on the ball, very comfortable, but he doesn't have that lightning pace. You can see him hitting a few 20-yard rockets into the top corner, and you can see him creating opportunities. And I think he will improve, and he will be a stalwart in the team. But the output for him's not there at the moment. And Larsen, he doesn't seem fit at all. He went on one really good run when he's hit the post and could have wrapped the game up for us. But other than that, he was pretty anonymous. He wasn't winning his battles, wasn't particularly strong in the air. There was one really positive moment when he held the ball up, when he was literally on his own in their half, and he held the ball up and we almost scored from it when Arias fired over. So he's had moments, but for me, he's not fit at the minute. But they were all okay, with the exception of Hwang, who I thought was poor. But they just don't offer us enough output going forward, and that's a massive issue for us. So that's what he needs to be focusing on over the next sort of 2 weeks in an international break, as much as he possibly can, because obviously they'll be on international duty.
Yeah, I know we talked about earlier on, I just don't get the obsession with Hwang. And if the fact is because he's the only fast one we've got left, it's just an absolute crying shame. I mean, he didn't play well, but that's the best he's played for me in the Everton Spurs in this game. That's the best he's played, because he actually looked like he was involved with the game. Unfortunately, every time he got to a key area where he should cross it or pass it, he completely messed it up. So it's an improvement, but it's still nowhere near enough. And people will say, "Oh, you're always calling him out." Well, he shouldn't. He should be on the bench at best, if that. And the fact that Wolves haven't recruited another fast left-sided inverted player to play, it's an absolute stinker from the recruitment side of things now.
But you could see it working with a Fer Lopez or a Rodrigo Gomez, couldn't you? Because
Rodrigo, because there's no pace. You know what? He doesn't get in the same positions because he hasn't got the legs to do it. But I think we're more creative from deep. But the problem is then you've got Arias, Strand-Larsen, Lincoln, and Fer Lopez. There's no runner in behind at all, and then you're really pushing on Jackson or Hugo to get involved, because none of those 3 players are going to get in behind.
But I'd argue Hwang's not particularly fast, though, is he? I mean, Hwang's not exactly a whippet. I don't think he's any quicker than Rodrigo. I don't think he's much quicker than Fer Lopez. I'd rather have someone out there with a bit of a football brain, which Lopez
I agree, but for me, he's there because he can run. And I think he's not much of a quality to have as a forward, but he's our fastest player, and he's the only one we've got at the moment that can do that. I'd like to see Rodrigo in there. I'd love to see Fer Lopez in there. For whatever reason, he's not enjoying Fer Lopez. Fer Lopez, I don't know, Tyler will be a fan as well. He's pure. He makes things happen. He can link it. But how does it work then? We don't try, we don't find out. But the fact we've not seen him for a couple of games speaks volumes to what he thinks of him.
Yeah, for me, you have to play if you're playing that formation on your screen there, you have to play him and Arias off the big striker, and you have to give your fullbacks license to get forward.
So you all have it as a 4-3-2-1 then with that formation. So
well,
less.
Just as it is. Have your 11 and your 10 as they are off your striker. Andre can drop it 10 yards, and you just get your fullbacks a bit higher. Arias and Fer Lopez are clever enough to just move and play and get on the ball and dictate it.
I suppose if you've got them, they can bring in Arias and Lopez can bring in Chachua and Bueno if they're overloaded.
Yeah, and you've sort of got Menezzi just having a bit of a wander around. It's not perfect, and it's not what I'd want at the start of the season, but you can sort of see an argument for it. The other option, obviously, would to be go. When Tolu's up and running, you play the two big lumps up front, and you just tell Arias to go where he wants. But again, you're relying then so heavy on your fullbacks, but. This is the problem, like Mark said, and you said, Ryan, you're 7-8 games in and you're talking about stuff like this, and you shouldn't be. You should have your players that you want in the summer highlighted and brought in, and we've stumbled across this formation now, and now we're trying to put people in the right places.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. This is episode 140 of the Wolves Report. Mark Knock is back as always. Chris Tyler returning from his 3-match ban. The details of that shall remain in the club at the moment, but I'm sure there'll be a press release when the transfer window comes in and he puts his request away. Let's move on from the teams. An interesting tweet that's come out here. There's one figure that's slightly wrong, but I think it's a really good talking point moving into the next section. Andy Haywood says, Knocky, Ryan, Tyler, 2 points from 33. Let that sink in. Like the guy, but come on, it's actually 3 points. But again, who's counting over a point in that section? I know you spoke about this a lot, Tyler.
Yeah, too right.
Say again.
Too right, Alf. It's indefensible. Give me, either of you, give me one reason why he keeps his job based on that alone. And don't say because he's a nice guy and has beers in Wolverhampton.
Well, you two are on my podcast, and you know what I mean. So you manage it. Well, if you're not nice guys, but
genuine question though. What we talk, it seems to happen all the time. These managers have a really good start. O'Neill, you can go back as Bruno Lage. They have really good starts, and then for whatever reason, what hits the fan, and we just fall like a stone. And it's just a common denominator. And for me, I don't see how you can defend that record, and also with regards to the way that we've sort of thrown points away in the last 2 games.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying. I can't see a reason that he'd keep his job on the back of those stats alone.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm different. I'm not going to bring in last points into it. For me, it's irrelevant now. It's this season. He's lost Cunha, he's lost Sarabia, he's lost Aitnor, he's lost Semedo. 3 of those definitely start. One of them comes and changes, and not one recruit.
Hang on a minute, right? Hang on. You've just said you don't care about last season, so they're gone. They're done now. This is this season. So if the results don't care about last season, then nor do the players.
And that's true, but his quality of squad has gone down. There's no question about that, and they've not recruited.
He's spent a lot of money, and he's brought his mate in as director of football to help him with transfers. I think the guy is absolutely getting away with murder, genuinely. Come on, Lockie, you're quiet. What are you thinking?
No, I agree. I mean, you look at the points return, 3 points from 33. Not too many managers would survive that. And I know you say that last season isn't relevant. I think you're wrong. I think it's absolutely relevant because it was exactly the same the season before with O'Neill. We carried that form. This season, we carried it into pre-season. Pre-season is not relevant either. And then we carry it into the actual league campaign as well. So at this moment in time, I think he's getting away very, very lightly based on his points return and based on the basic errors that he's making at the moment. It's unforgivable, some of the errors that he's made. The argument for not sacking him is very, very thin. The nervousness around sacking him is who on earth is going to come to Wolverhampton Wanderers. I mean, you're going to have to look at. You would like to think we get almost, and it sounds horrible, but almost a Sean Dyche in. But we wouldn't do that. We'd go abroad and we'd bring in another foreign coach who would be another rinse and repeat and hoping to pick up some results.
Another Mendes, wouldn't it?
You almost think if you sack him, who's going to come in and are we going to be any better? So you're stuck behind a rock in our place at the minute, aren't you?
I just feel though, once that positivity goes, I think he's lost it. And it was the same with O'Neill. O'Neill at the start of his tenure was bubbly, bright, articulate. You really wanted to listen to him. Same with Pereira. He came in, he was positive, bubbly, brought everyone into his ideas. Now that's gone, I can't see a reason. I genuinely can't see a reason. There's nothing worse than keep sacking managers.
We're turning to Premier League Watford soon to be joining
all
Watford.
the time. Exactly. Once that spark's gone, for me, the writing's on the wall either way.
No, I can't. As with most things, I'm just not going to sit there and hammer it. I'm going to try and offer some debate. Now, what I would say is, and this is really clutching at straws, but I've got to offer some return fire, is the last 3 games, Wolves are better. There's no doubt about it. Wolves have improved dramatically in the last 3 games. From looking like anyone could walk through, looking us 3 could play up front and score against Wolves. That's how terrible we are. You know what I mean? We'd have you bullying Agbadou, Noki. It was utterly atrocious. But we stumbled on a back 2 that works. We've got our Brazilian holding midfielder back in the team, and we look like a well-organised team that are hard to beat. There has been an improvement, fluke or not, regardless, he's found it. And we look like now we can win football games. I mean, Spurs have had some good results. They're playing Champions League football. Brighton, yeah, a very good side. Everton, granted, we changed it, but we've given these 3 teams a proper game of football, and with the back 4, we've not conceded a goal. For now, it's small, but it's an improvement. And for me, for now, that's why we're keeping for now. The next 2 games are the test. Now, I'm probably ruining some of the questions now because there's people asking this now. But for me, Tyler, that's my answer. For now, yeah, I think the next 2 games, all right, you've played against 3 reasonable sides. You've not conceded a goal with the back 4. We've improved. Let's go again. That will be my argument.
And it is a fair argument. And like I said, I can't be doing with sacking managers every 10 minutes. But ultimately, like Mark says, you could argue the reason we haven't won those last 2 games are the manager again. And that's it for me. I'd love, I'm going to Sunderland with my lad. There's nothing more. But you're going there now. When did you last go to a game, genuinely, boys, thinking, yeah, Wolves win today?
I thought we'd beat Leeds, but that's just me, isn't it? I genuinely thought we were going to beat Leeds. And when we went a goal up, I thought, here we go. But we did. Yeah, what we did in these last 2 games, and we just stood up. Instead of going and killing the game, which we should have done, we invited them on, and we opened the door, and boy, they ran through it. Granted, they were ruthless, and we've talked about it, XG, and had a laugh about that, but they had half opportunities, and they buried a lot of them. Bang, 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 game over.
So back with my backhand at your point, if we lose at Sunderland, what are you thinking?
I think he's in big trouble. I think he gets Burnley then, and I think that he's over. I don't think he gets sacked at Sunderland if Wolves lose. I don't think he gets sacked if we draw. I think a draw and a win from the next 2 games, I think the world will look a better place. Sunderland have started a lot better than I thought. They've pretty much thrown a team together, made like 11, 12 signings. They've had some good results. They're not unbeatable. Man United have beat them. So, do you know what? We need to be going there 4-3-3 and having a go. But if we lose the next 2 games or don't win again in the next 2, I think there's only one place he's going, because you can't have played all 3 promoted teams and not have a single point. So no wins, he's gone for me.
No more questions, Your Honour.
We'll step aside. Andy, thank you for creating the debate on this latest Wolves report. We're 48 minutes in. I've not asked a single question yet, so sorry for my squeaky chair. And I'm sure everyone's delighted to have our Tyler Sean Dyke back from his suspension. Let's fly some questions out. Let's start off with Gary. Players looked totally lost at the end of the game. Jørgen Strand Larsen also looked totally hacked off. Has VB started to lose the dressing room with these negative tactics? Now, I'll answer that one first, and you guys can fire in. Players don't play like that determined, with that much grit and aggression, if he's lost the dressing room. I don't think that's the case. And for me, Strand Larsen's got no reason to be stroppy. He beat one player and he hit the post. Otherwise, he was pretty much anonymous in that game. He got bullied. I don't think he did a lot. He doesn't look fit, and I think he was lucky to be on the pitch that long. Noki?
Yeah, I've never liked the term losing the dressing room. I don't really agree with it. I think players should be professional regardless. And I saw lots of effort. I saw a really good work rate. Strand Larsen did look hacked off to be coming off, but I don't know why, because he was pretty atrocious. So he's lucky he got as many minutes as he did. So I don't think he's losing the game, losing the dressing room. I just think that he's making poor decisions.
Gary, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves report. This question made me laugh. John said, just one question, when will it stop? Now, was he talking about the podcast? And it turns out John actually quite looks forward to the podcast, John. So, yeah, thank you for watching. When will it stop? Well, hopefully it'll stop at Sunderland.
It's never going to stop, is it? We're all, mid-40s? And
31 games. 31 games it'll stop.
Do you know what it is as well, John? I'm like, we're all sat in here on a Tuesday night on an international break. I've got nearly 900 live viewers, people watching. We're all absolutely hurting. And here we are again, doing it all over again, because this is what we do. But this is Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we're all fans. But John, thank you for creating some good humour, because I genuinely thought you were talking about the podcast. There's no way Tyler is doing a championship podcast. He'll be gone. He'll be off to talking Wolves. He'll be off to Friday, mate. I'm Premier League. He'll be off. He'll be off. He'll be gone. John, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves report. Now, this is an interesting one that sort of goes into the debate. Wise Wolf asks, it's clear the love affair is over. Significant numbers of fans are losing patience with the head coach. How many games does VP have to turn this around? Oof. Go on, Tyler, your turn.
Oof. And I think that's a valid point. I think the weekend was the first time I really saw on the socials fans sort of digging Pereira out. I think he's sort of been okay up to now, and he's had the reasons around Jeff and losing players and funds, etc. This was the first time I saw a bit of a shift in that. And some of the regular guys I follow on X, real positive people, were again even thinking...
Can't say anything negative on Twitter, mate. You can't be having that.
You'll be a legacy fan if you do.
No comments. But yeah, I think there's been a shift. There has been a shift, I think, from the weekend. And I think he's got maximum 2 games. But my point was, and again, I'll repeat myself, I didn't necessarily want to sack managers, but if you do it quickly, you've got more time to get it right, like we did with sort of Pereira. We were lucky last season that there were 3 absolute garbage teams that we could still catch. Won't be the case this year. If we cast the drift at Christmas, we won't be catching any team. So I'm worried about the time we might lose with the next 2 games. For me, it has to be 6 points. If he wants to keep that job, for me,
I think he gets away with 4, Tyler. I think no wins he's gone. I think he gets away with 4.
But imagine Burnley at kickoff time if we still are yet to win a game.
Think about Nocky squeezing into his seat and all that luxury, them £1,000 seats.
that padded seat he's got. So yeah, to answer the question in a short way, I'd say he's got 2 games to save his job.
Yeah, I think he has 2 games. I think if he's winless after Burnley, I think he goes. I think a draw at Sunderland and a win against Burnley, I think he gets away with it. I think a loss at Burnley and a loss at Sunderland and a win against Burnley, I think Moran will be horrible, but I think he'd get away with it. No wins, and I think we're in real trouble. Knocker, your take on that one?
I think you both should be right, but we saw with Gary O'Neill that you might not be, because we kept him a lot longer than we probably should have done. You would hope that they'd learnt their lesson, but we've heard the penny drop thing before, haven't we? And it's not been true. So for me, I agree with the 2 games. I think if he doesn't pick up at least 4 points from these 2 fixtures, 3 maybe saves him. But surely if we pick up 1 point, 2 points out of the next 2, you've got to think that should be curtains at that point. I mean, we're the only team in the entire country that hasn't won a game of football yet, so you can't keep going for it and hoping that it kind of works. So it's got to be 2 games.
Tyler's had more bottles of wine this weekend than we've got points, but you know what? At least someone's having a good time. Wise Wolf, Jazz, thanks as always for being part of the Wolves report. This is a good question as well. Carl Whitehouse, regular follower of the show. What has to be done to get a win? We need to get our season moving. Now, I think we've been unlucky. I think a lot of our wounds in the last few games have been self-inflicted.
Well, that's not unlucky then, is it? If it's self-inflicted, it's not unlucky.
Let me finish. I think we've done so much. I wish I had violin. Is there a violin music? I'll put it on. I think if there is, what music do you want on? Is there anything? Let's try
Jackson kicking.
Here we go. Hang on. Once upon a time, there was a club called Wolverhampton Wanderers, and a sad man called Ryan Lester with his 2 angry friends. Add that word for you. Anyway, so what do we do have to get our season going? Things we'll do on the show now. What do we have to do to get our season going? We have done so much well the last 2 games, but stupidity has cost us. Individual errors and tactical naivety or being afraid. If we keep doing the things that we've done so well, we need to not change the back 4, not change the middle 3. I think we need to make one change to the forward line, and I think Wolves will be winning football games. I think that we deserved to win at least one of those gas games, but you don't always get what you deserve. Granted, Nocky, you make a really fair point in terms of being self-inflicted and you make your own luck. But as what Cole said, what have we got to do? We've got to keep doing what we've been doing, because the back 4 have been excellent. The midfield 3 have been excellent. We need a little bit more bravery from the manager, and we're going to need a little bit more quality from our forward line. If we can get those 2 things, Wolves will be winning football games soon.
Here's a question then. If we're a goal up at Sunderland with 25 minutes left, does he stick or will he bring on another centre half and go through at the back again? So it's self-inflicted, isn't it? If you stand in the middle of the road, you don't moan when you get hit by a car, do you? And that's exactly what we're doing at the minute. We're just putting ourselves in harm's way all the time. So yes, I get your point. There's been massive improvements, but they're completely irrelevant because we're making individual errors. It's all self-harm. So yeah, we've been better, but we keep repeating the same mistakes. And I'm absolutely convinced if we're a goal up at Sunderland, on comes Agbada.
We're a goal up after 2 minutes, Tyler. You've gone that way, and we pack it out 5-0.
I'm leaving on Thursday, so I'll let you know. But
Carl, Nocky, you get my point now, don't you? Go on.
But it's what I talked about you want the positive manager back, don't you? You want positive Pereira, and I didn't mean that as a PP. But yeah, just be positive. That's all I want to see. I want to see you go in to win the game and try and win the game. Because that's where he got his success, and now he's reverting back to type.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Nocky, I think your microphone might have just dropped a little bit there, mate. You went in and out, so if you want to readjust that. Cole, thank you as always.
Eardrums for the last hour.
Thank you as always for being part of the show. It isn't very nice, but we're not very nice people. Here we go. Roger says, far too many empty seats, very flat pre-match atmosphere. Whoever changed the pre-match music is massively out of touch. The days of the liquidator and the atmosphere it created are badly missed. Now, we talked about this a lot. I think gets mentioned every week regarding the liquidator. You know what? It's not going to change the style of football. It's not going to change the play. But you know what? I think we need to do anything we can to get an atmosphere going at the moment. And those were the days a little bit better. But do you know what? And people, I don't know if whether Wolves are taking the moral high ground because it sort of creates unpleasant words and that, but we got to look what's more important here. Do we need our atmosphere back? Do we need that bit more of a buzz and a bounce? Something needs to change because, and again, Tyler, you make a really good point. It's a two-way relationship. You need the team to be feeding you, and then you feed the team. Now, until Wolves scored, I think we pretty much did that in the last couple of games. They were feeding off each other, but then when you turn the fun tap off and you tuck in and hold your breath, this is exactly what happens. So, but yeah, boys, what can we do? The liquidator, what are we talking about?
The music's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference at all. It's about the performances. It's flat because a lot of people have been priced out. There's seats everywhere. The football's not very good and you're expecting to lose. So you could have a Metallica concert before the kickoff if you want, but you're not going to make a blind bit of difference to the atmosphere because people are...
Jeff a charge for that.
Yeah, people are worried about what's going to happen in the game. I quite like... those were the days. I quite like that. I think that's a nice touch. I think that's something that will probably catch on and get a little bit of a sing-song before kick-off. But you can play the liquidator if you want. It'll be a bit of noise while the liquidator's on and then bang, it'll be completely switched off again. Because Molineux, for me, I don't remember it ever being that quiet for the first sort of 20 minutes of the game. There was nothing. South Bank was completely silent. There was nothing around the ground. Eventually, the North Bank had a little bit of a sing-song. And then when we started to... I think when we realised we weren't going to get pumped 3 or 4-0 like we normally do against these, it started to come to life a little bit. But you play whatever music you want. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference if your football's like this. If you didn't play any music at all, but your team's winning every week, the ground would be electric like it was under Nuno. So it's not relevant to me, the music. I don't think Liquidator or anything else makes a blind bit of difference.
But you know what, though? I do think it would make some difference because it would get people up for the start of the game, and Wolves have been starting games pretty slow. So that initial buzz to have the fans bouncing, I do think it would make a brief difference, even if for the first few opening minutes. Go on, Tyler.
Nocky called this on this podcast years ago. Once you start staying in the Premier League, and I think Amanda's put it on there, you just become sanitised. There's not a Premier League atmosphere anywhere apart from potentially Leeds. That is it. But that's because they've been going. You can go to any Premier League ground; it'll be exactly the same. Sunderland might have a bit this season because they're up and they're lively. There's no atmosphere anywhere. It's not just Wolves. It's every single ground you go to as an away fan. It's tepid, and that's what the Premier League does to you. It's expensive, like Mark says. It prices the working class person out. On with Mark, you could play whatever you want. It's just the Premier League. It's just where we're at now.
Roger, thank you so much. Roger, I'd have the liquidator on, and even if it makes even if it makes 2 minutes of noise and it's rocking, because I tell you what, boys, if we've lost to Sunderland and we're going to that Burnley game, we're going to need every bit of anything we can get.
We'll stick Fields of gold on Sun just before kick-off.
Just play the liquidator for like an hour before the game and get people absolutely out of their minds. Roger, thank you for being part of the show and thank you for watching as always. We're an hour and a minute in. We're not into overtime because it isn't past Nocky's bedtime yet. Let's do a few more questions. Patrick says, between the three of you, there must be hundreds and hundreds of games. It's probably 1,000 gone, to be honest. Is there, in terms of the management, substituting tactics, is that the worst that you can remember? I mean,
no.
I think
FA Cup semi-final. FA Cup semi-final when he played Steve Claridge and was it Robbie Slater over Steve and Robbie. That's the word. He shouldn't have been sacked. He should have been shot for that because that is the single biggest crime I've ever seen in football.
But don't forget the semi-final a few years ago.
Yeah, it took Jota off.
Brought on Dundonker, John.
Who knew that Nuno was going to get a dig on this week's episode? It's coming from.
You are right. I think there's been a few, but in recent times,
I remember I was at Bristol City on a Tuesday night, and we went to wing backs at half time, and I think it was Nathan Byrne who was actually a wing back, and he took Nathan Byrne off, and who was the forwards that came on? Who was that big punter that we bought from? Who used to play for Norwich? Someone like it was. Honestly,
there's been a few.
It was disgusting. But Patrick, that's a horrible question. I appreciate you making us laugh.
Do you remember the year we went down and we went to Barnsley and we had Dean Saunders in charge and we went a goal up? So he took Sigurdarsson off and he played the other striker on the right wing and we lost 2-1. Nearly caused a riot that day. We've had a few poor managers in our time, haven't we, to be fair? But you could probably write a book on some of our management decisions.
Oh dear.
Patrick,
like that guy said earlier, boys, when will it stop?
Yeah, we just, I mean, this is just, yeah. But anyway, Patrick, you're making us laugh on the podcast, and that is very much what's needed. There's a lot of repeated questions now about Vitor, so we might move on from that. This was
that people wanted him sacked, Ryan?
Yeah. Bobby says, I know that Sheldon Friday is not a good character trait, but I'm not alone in having a little chuckle at the plight of Mateus Cunha at Man United. Now, it is funny, but my God, we could really do with Mateus Cunha. Imagine if he was playing in this team now. Yes, his behaviour was balling, but he was a brilliant footballer, and we badly missed that kind of talent. And I know Nocky's learnt a new word today, which is nice.
What good?
Schadenfreude. I thought he played for Germany, to be fair. But when but like with Cunha, I can never hate Mateus Cunha because of what he did to the Albion in that cup game. So I'll never hate the guy. Do I want him to succeed at United? Absolutely not. But I'm never going to hate the guy. I mean, for me, when a player leaves, I'm not overly fussed how they get on. You get your Ruben Neveses who you keep your eye on and players like that. But generally, if you leave the football club, I couldn't really care less where your career goes from there.
Bobby, thank you for the amusement and being part of the latest show. Question about Hwang. Do you think Jeff is holding a gun to Vitor's head to keep starting Hwang? Now, obviously, Hwang is a marketing dream, South Korean international. He brings probably the most non-Wolves tourism to the club. And from a business point of view, that's fine. But he should be nowhere near his starting 11. I don't think he should have started in the cup game against Everton. Never mind in the last two league games. But do you know what? What I would say is I do think he'll start the next game. It's just, unfortunately, if he's played these two games and he's had the best of his bad games in this one. I don't see anything else. And you know what? I hope we're on this next episode eating my words, because he's shin one in and Tyler's gone nuts in the away end at Sunderland. I really hope that does happen. So yeah, Tom, thank you for being part of this latest Wolves report. I think that is it for the questions for this week. There's lots and lots I didn't get on. I do apologise for that, but they are very, very much appreciated. 2 weeks' time, Wolverhampton Wanderers head down, or say up, all the way to Sunderland. It's a long old trip for a few people, and it's a massive task. Nocky, what are we going to do with the team?
I don't see it being any different. I think he'll probably start Hwang. I mean, I thought it was curtain for Hwang when he was hooked at half time in the game before, but he seems to trust him. So I'm not really sure he's going to change a great deal. If it was me, I'd move Hwang out. It'd probably be the only change I'd make. It'd be Hwang out, and it'd probably be Rodrigo Gomez in on that side. I'd like to see him in an attacking role because he can drop in and help with defensive duties. I'm almost tempted to give Tolo a run as well, but you can understand why Strand Larsen would start that game. Other than that, I wouldn't really do anything, but my anticipation is the team's going to look very, very similar to what it did against Brighton. I think it will pretty much be the same team. I don't think he'll change it.
With that in mind, Tyler, would it be fair to say, though, that if we didn't switch to a 5, that would still look like a pretty good performance, because regardless of Hwang's inability to find a teammate when he's got the ball, it was actually still a reasonably good team performance. And if you keep the 4-3-3 up, Wolves probably score again against Brighton. So is there an argument that even if Hwang is playing and you play to that level before the substitutions, you'd be feeling quite promising about the result?
I wouldn't go that far, but I do agree. I can't really see him changing it. And I think Sunderland, I'm no expert on Sunderland, but to me, they look a big, strong, quick, physical side. And do you sort of go there and just try and
as a Brighton?
Yeah. Technically, obviously not as good as Brighton, but they've got runners, haven't they? They've got pace, they've got nous, they've got know-how. I don't know if it's a game for a Rodrigo or you just bully that, get Bellegarde in there and just go horrible. I don't know. I'm not saying he will, but I think you could see a bit of a stinky performance. But let's be honest, we're not going to Barcelona and Real Madrid, are we? It's a game with the situation we're in. We need to get something from. So on with Mark. I don't see many changes. One at the most, and it probably would be Hwang who's on the radar.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely on the radar. But equally, if he's played him through these games, I don't see why he would change it now, because he's certainly not going to think when he's still not had a good game, but it's been his most involved performance over the last 3 games. So if he's done that, you can't see him probably being dropped. The one thing that may come into play is that so many of our players are away on international duty. Now, in terms of the legs and the miles...
That's very right. I didn't think we had any good players.
Oh, we definitely do, mate. We definitely do. So Joe Gomez and Andre obviously going to South America.
Yeah.
Obviously... Manetzi, Tolu, Krejci will be away, Santiago Bueno away. I think Hugo's with the 21s, Chachua's away. Sam Johnson just be sat there by himself. Strand Larsen will be away. I don't know if Hwang's been called up again. I know he has to be left out at the last one to sort of get his fitness up. So there isn't a lot of prep work. So with that in mind, that kind of leans back to what Nocky says. Then it's pretty much going to be a similar team, because if everyone's away, what can you really prepare? So just hopefully there isn't that many injuries. I mean, I don't think Hwang should be anywhere near the team, but if he's in, we'll have to back him and we'll just go from there. This has been episode 140 of the Wolves Report with the returning suspended Chris Tyler, Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. If you like the show, please drop us a follow, a like, a subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, X, and we'll be uploading now to Spotify as well, which is now in video and audio format. It is very much appreciated. Over 1,000 live viewers after no win in about 14 years is quite impressive, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Let's go on to the predictions. Nocky, tell me the outcome of Sunderland v Wolverhampton Wanderers. I won't post your private message then on the screen either.
I'm absolutely convinced we're going to win. I've got the biggest sneaky I've ever had, and I think we're going to win well, and I don't know why. There's no logic behind it. So I'm going to go 3-0 to Wolves. John Arias with his first goal. I don't know, I can feel it. It's get your mortgage on it. Wolves are going to win. I can just taste it.
Could you imagine this being clipped for like months after, and we've been put
Yeah, it could
5?
go horribly wrong, couldn't it? But yeah, no, I really fancy us, and I don't know why, but I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win well.
About that then, Tyler. Well, I mean, there's no way it's getting any better than that. So,
2-0 to Sunderland. Granit Xhaka.
mate, you're going with your lad, and you've what?
Yeah, I've got no interest in going or any positivity.
What a way to end the show. He's been back after a 3-game ban, and he's just back to being miserable. Yeah, I'm with Nocky, but not as quite as excited. I'm going to go 1-0 Wolves, early goal, and park the bus for 85 minutes, and just you're going to come home with less hair than Nocky, and the hair you'll have will be left over, the same colour as me. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you to all the comments, the downloads, the likes. It's very much appreciated. As I said, over 1,000 live. We look forward to joining you again in a couple of weeks' time when we're talking about Wolves' famous 3-0 win away at Sunderland, according to Nocky anyway. Of the Wolves.